echoes crying out for peace tonight. Voices rising in the dark. Promises spoken in the open light. But something's hidden in the heart. They say peace and safety overall, like everything's restored. But every time those words are called, destruction follows close behind the door. We've seen this pattern long before. The signs are lining up once more. The silence breaks, the seals unlock. The pattern is unfolding now. Can you feel it in the air? A crown without the truth will rise, and many won't be aware. The first half looks like peace restored, but shadows fill the land. Oh Father, let us be found worthy to stand, to stand. Damascus falls into the dust, the birth pains start to rise. What once was distant now is close, right before our eyes. The time of Jacob's trouble comes, the earth begins to shake. The seals are open one by one, no more delay. No more delay. The pattern is unfolding now. Can you feel it drawing near? A voice will speak of you, covenant will soon be made, but broken halfway through. Oh Father, let us be protected and gathered close to you. The turning point revealed. What once was hidden in the dark will no longer be concealed. The pattern is unfolding now. This is not a game. The same design that showed the truth will show the false the same.
Welcome to a special End Times podcast. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. Welcome everybody in the chat, everybody that's not in the chat, and everybody in the future.
Yeah, so no flat earth tonight. We're going to be talking about what's going on in the world and how this times fits in with biblical timelines. And there's a whole bunch of things kicking off right now because, well, most of the world thinks that this is Passover coming up. So this will probably be maybe our last podcast before the wrong Passover takes place. But we are right on the cusp of what would be the triumphal entry. And let's talk about what the triumphal entry is and how that could be a pattern for what's coming up.
Are you thinking like parabolically with the wicked one having his triumphal entry?
Yeah. So Christ made an appearance where he came in riding on the donkey, and it was a humble way for a king to make his appearance. We're not expecting the same thing from the treacherous dealer, the Antichrist, but wouldn't there be a good chance that he would try to parallel the date on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Symbolically, the donkey was looked upon as not a warring type animal, so the Antichrist would probably come in on a horse or some kind of a war type vehicle.
Yeah, so it's like a 3.5 day lead up to Passover is what the triumphal entry was. And remember, we're on the wrong calendar. If you don't understand what we're talking about with saying that, go back and watch one of the previous podcasts where we talk about how Passover is not April Fool's this year. And April Fool's is coming up. We're about ready to make the turn into April. And there's some other celestial signs taking place that tie up with all this. What do you have to say about the headlines you've been hearing this last week regarding war in Iran and the possibility of a third world war?
Yeah, definitely. So we're still going to keep Passover when the sun is in the sign in the sky of the Lamb, right? That's the
That's what the
sacrifice.
Bible commands, right?
Yeah, until we get a new command that says move it to the fish or into this spot in the sky, we're going to continue to celebrate Passover when the full moon takes place where the sun is in the sign of the Lamb in the sky. That's the way Moses was instructed to do it, and we're still going to do it today. Now, headlines. So we've got all this crazy like war and this and that, and we've been showing for many, many years that a lot of it is not real. It's created propaganda. It's generally done in far off places where internet's not on, and we have to listen to the two sides of the propaganda. And most likely, both sides of the war are working together to achieve a goal and a purpose. So, what we're seeing now in the headlines is, it's hard to trust anything from either side, right? We don't know if half the footage they're showing of places is an AI or footage from the last 10 years that they've been blowing things up. They've created whole villages and towns in the middle of the desert, and they bomb them, film them, and use that footage. There's been so many different, rampant, just tons and tons of people promoting ships burning down and saying, yeah, look at what you get, USA. And it's like a fire from 2 years ago or from 6 months ago, where there's so much fake propaganda. But what we have on the headlines right now is supposedly, right, ground troops are amassing and they're about to enter certain parts of the Iranian coastline.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've called it the theater of war as long as I've been alive. And once we became truthers and we dug into it, we really realized that it is true theater. I mean, the whole film crew, the makeup, the director, action, and the guys running around in ditches and stuff like that. So theater of war, it's a Freemason psyop when you got the cameras and stuff. Now we're in a especially dangerous situation because they don't even need the cameras anymore. Now they can just AI create films with people that don't even exist, and they can show horrific things that didn't really happen. It can all be absolutely fraudulent, and we're really in a precarious time right now where you have to scrutinize every single thing that you're looking at. And they do leave behind the AI clues in a lot of the propaganda that they put out. But my fear is at some time they'll stop removing the clues, and then it would be really hard to distinguish, right?
Well, to a certain degree, we do know that they always tell you everything they're doing, and they usually do it through disinformation campaigns. They love to put the truth out there. They love to tell you exactly what they're doing, and then they say that if you're too stupid to get it, then you deserve the karma that you're supposed to get from it. So what we're seeing is this uptick in wars and rumors of wars, peace and security. We're seeing infrastructure destroyed. We're seeing, what we've talked about. They have inflatable war toys that they blow up and burn, and they've been using inflatable planes and tanks and fake intercontinental ballistic missiles. Sure, they have stuff that they can drop out of planes that do like a 30 foot, 60-foot blast hole. Nothing too extreme. But what we're starting to see is that they might ramp up this war, and what they're actually doing is they're causing economic chaos. So everything, obviously, we've got people from all over the realm here. We got Bronick in Australia. We got people in the northeast, southwest of North America. We even have people in Europe here. And gas prices instantly spiked, which we said was going to happen. Food rationing is starting to take place. Now, we don't know how far people actually got in places like Australia and in the southern parts of the realm. But in the northern parts of the realm, planting season is about to start. So this means that they need fertilizer and they need fuel to run their crops and to run their machines to get the stuff in the ground, the dirt turned. So we're going to see an uptick in price of things, and we'll be going through that in a bit. So where we're at right now is basically everything's getting expensive.
Yeah. So what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be going through the things that are taking place, and we're going to be looking at how they line up against the biblical calendar, and when we could possibly see some things kicking off. And you're going to be surprised that this weekend is still a really hot looking thing, even though they've supposedly moved the deadline 10 days.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the other thing too. They're not going to tell you like exactly what they're going to do. That would be just ridiculous. Nobody would ever do that. And actually what they do is they strike hard and fast when people aren't prepared for it.
Yeah. So let's keep this all organized, because what Trump's been doing, first it was 2 days, there was a deadline, everybody was geared up waiting for that, and then so the original ultimatum was March 21st. That was equinox. Trump issued a 48-hour ultimatum, and then when the ultimatum was about to expire on March 23rd, the first extension was made. And so at that point, Trump paused the threat for 5 days, setting productive conversations with Tehran, and that established a March 27th deadline, which is now. So if we had not gotten the second extension, right, which came out yesterday, right now we would be at the end of the deadline. And so I was sort of excited, thinking, okay, this is great. We'll have the podcast all set up, the deadline's coming up. We'll be ready to catch some stuff live. Well, the second extension on March 26th, Trump announced he was pausing the period of energy plant destruction by an additional 10 days and pushing that out to April 6th, I believe it is.
Yeah, and most of this pause and start is manipulation of the economy, right? People are profiting in the billions of dollars while they're up and down, while they're moving things along. They're making announcements, and they're doing everything very strategically, almost as if a computer program is literally doing it all.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll reference the calendar a little bit here. Right now we are on the 27th, and so this is when the deadline was going to be, and now it's pushed out to the 6th, which is being called here Easter Monday. So this right here from today until then is a really hot zone for a whole bunch of reasons, and we're going to be talking about those reasons tonight. So the 29th is Palm Sunday. And this is just my speculation, my pondering. But because we know that the calendar is off by a month and that they're doing Passover a month early and that it's taking place on April 1st, it's my speculation that the revealing of the treacherous dealer or the Antichrist figure could parallel Christ's triumphal entry, right? I would think that he would want to try to parallel that. And we're so close to that being able to be possible. So because the calendar is off, they're saying that Palm Sunday, this would be the day that's triumphal entry. The palms are when they put the palm branches out for Christ to come pass by with the donkey. First off, I've just got to stop here, and we gotta bust this whole Palm Sunday, Good Friday crap, right, in its place. And I want to make sure that everybody, you are absolutely being psyoped if you think that the same day of the year, a Sunday, could be the same day that Christ came in on the donkey, and that a Friday would always be the day that that he was killed, right? Because 365 days is not divisible by 7. Like your birthday changes from year to year. That means the day that you die changes from year to year. That means you can't always die on a Friday. That means Palm Sunday can't always be a Sunday, right? So let's just, once you start seeing that they've messed with everything, right, you'll start to see that, okay, this whole calendar that they're proposing is crazy. It's ludicrous. But so they say Palm Sunday before April 1st is Passover here. And that 29th, I want to, let's see, I want to get to this clip here and sort of set the stage for a prediction that they have out there since 2012. So let's go through this. Stop me anytime you want to. But there's some interesting stuff to pull out of this.
And I put this in writing to the Pentagon in 2012 when I told this. Okay?
2012.
One thing she told me was, when you see Iran and Israel exchanging missiles, and I saw it, the way she tells me is a vision of, I see it like a living picture screen. I could see the rockets flying. Then all of a sudden, orbs appeared out of the ocean and everywhere.
Great.
And I told the government, if this happens, the orb's going to appear and wake people up and stop it. That's what she told me.
April 2026.
Yeah.
And okay, you've put yourself in it there, Chris.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's going to be, Chris Bledsoe says April 2026 is when it all happens.
But I can tell you this, when I told
You say something? Okay, sorry.
this to the government about 2026, I just repeated what she told me. They immediately put remote viewers on. And all of a sudden, all the remote viewers are saying, oh my God, 2026, 2027, something is going to happen.
2026, Easter. What?
2026 Easter. Saying.
Happen. The star will, the alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, but these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that star is going to come up on the horizon.
It's not just it coming up on the horizon. We'll bring up Stellarium and show this.
Easter of 2026.
Easter 2026.
I gave him the specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby. This little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. He looks at it, he's like, oh my God, it's the King star. So, what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the That's the return of
Christ.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going on with Regulus? There's an occultation that's going to be taking place. So there's a conjunction every month. The moon moves past Regulus on the regular. Regular. That's nothing unusual, but to have an occultation of the moon directly over Regulus, that goes in cycles. And so you'll have a period of like 7 to 9 years where there's no occultations. And then you'll have a period for about 1.5 to 2 years where there are. And we are at a time period now where the first one of these that took place again was February 2nd, 2026 of this new cycle, but it was a miss in Jerusalem. So it was visible in the eastern United States, Canada. It depends on where you're in the world when the moon lines up with Regulus. All right, so not everybody can see it. The moon's not always visible for everybody on the earth at the same time. And so the next time this happens, and it's a direct hit, I'm going to show you, is March 29th. All right, so this is completely visible from Jerusalem. In fact, it's a direct hit. So this is March 29th. Let's back this up a hair. And you can see the moon out here in front of Leo. And then as I walk through the hours here, it goes down. It's going to go under. Comes back up. And now you can see Regulus is this star. It's at the crook of the leg right here. So we walk this forward. The sun has gone down. Here we're starting to get really close. So let's go ahead and zoom in. This right here is a dead center occultation from Jerusalem of Regulus, which is being called the King Star by all these people that are serious occultists. And they're saying that this is the time period where a king steps up as this occultation takes place. And so this happens at the very end of the 29th. All right. So if you're looking for astrology, some sort of a symbol there, we have a sign in the heavens here, this occultation. And this is something that was actually referenced back in 2012 by this guy that was saying that Easter of 2026, it's not actually Easter of 2026. It's the Triumphal Entry Day.
And he did reference the Iran-Israel war too.
Yeah, so the 29th here, this is Palm Sunday. This is the Triumphal Entry. So there's just so many things loaded onto the 29th here that, man, it would pattern Christ's entry. It's got this occultation of the King Star, they call it. And it's over the weekend. So if something big went down on a Sunday like that, if the markets were to open, something like that, it could really be a super chaotic week here.
Well, you don't expect heavy bombing to take place during the week of Passover, at least not from the people in Israel, right? Now, maybe the Americans continue to do their war, but you wouldn't expect it now. Will Iran send missiles? Probably, right? Is it even Iran? We don't know. Well, but because they murdered and killed and continued to fight during Ramadan, which is the holy time for the Muslim people in Iran. So the next 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 4 days leading up to the 14th of Nissan is a high watch time to see what could take place. Absolutely.
Yeah, so just keep in mind, everybody, this Easter on Sunday, it's just a pagan holiday, right? It has nothing to do with Christ's death. They're off by a month, but Passover would be here on April 1st, and then, so Easter is not connected to Passover. It would always line up on the same day as Passover if it was connected to Christ's death, right?
Yeah, it's about chocolates and bunny rabbits. It's a fertility ritual.
Yeah, but it is a big thing promoted by the Vatican.
Catholics,
and
Christians, they all celebrate it.
Spread throughout the Protestant Christianity.
Anglo-Saxon.
And people think of Christ at Easter, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's all tying together, because we'll show it some tabs towards the end here, just how biblical this whole war thing is, right? The people that want to deny the Bible and the script that's in the Bible, how do you even deal with what's taking place in the world when you see all the connections to it biblically?
Yeah, well, they take those connections and say, debunked, right? They just point at the evidence and say, no.
Yeah, so just wanted to point out to everybody the biblical side of this. The whole Palm Sunday, it's not necessarily a Sunday, but this is the time Christ came, made his entry to the public, like in a mass type thing. And then the scriptures do talk about this treacherous dealer, one of the Antichrist characters, who's going to step up and make a peace covenant that's eventually going to be broken midway through it, the 3.5 years. Now, this article right here is just talking about the 10-day push here. And we saw the last time he did an extension, all of a sudden, the market's calmed back down, and gas has maybe gone down 10 to 15 cents per gallon since then. And I think another 10-day extension, what they're trying to do is get the people to think, okay, things are going to calm down, settle down even a little bit more. But April 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I don't know that we get to April 6th without something really severe in the world taking place. This whole, what are they going to do? The troops on the ground. It all seems to come back to taking this Kharg Island. And so the troops right now, I think, is up to 8,000 people that are supposed to be going over there. They've got it at 3,000 paratroopers and 2 groups of 2,500 Marines, for a total 5,000 Marines, 3,000 paratroopers, and so 8,000 boots on the ground to take what everybody's saying is going to be Kharg Island. This has got the most amount of information about it. Everybody's got the whole thing scripted. They know what kind of helicopters are going to be used. They know which beaches they're going to be coming on. They're going to be running for cover between these barrels, and everybody's saying that they're sitting ducks and that they're absolutely going to get wiped out. So they're saying, why seize this Kharg Island? Oil. The oil flows through this island. This is where they load up the ships. And it's interesting. We're going to be showing from Google Earth that the infrastructure here is not substantial whatsoever. This is just a loading station. Obviously, the infrastructure is back on the mainland, and then they're just pumping it out onto this island to get it on the boats. So the infrastructure here is not that big a deal. They would have to load it somewhere else. Let's see here. The thing that is overwhelming, if you're looking at these articles, everybody is absolutely screaming disaster waiting to happen. Prospect of ground troops in Iran triggers alarm. And it's really a worst case scenario in every single article you read, because it's not just that they're all going to get slaughtered. Everybody's saying how the only thing it's going to do is worsen the oil trade and make everything worse.
Yeah, so it's going to create more chaos, more havoc, longer quote unquote rebuild situations where really these places are not going to get rebuilt. The goal here is to clamp down on the populations, to force them to take a solution being offered by the, Great Reset people.
Yeah, so here's the numbers again: 3,000 paratroopers, 2 groups of 2,500 Marines for a total of 8,000. And they say that, well, that's 150,000 troops invaded Iraq in 2003. So just a small fraction of what they used that time. Let's see here. The next, everybody's talking about it could be a trap, all right? And they look at it from a military objective standpoint, and they talk about the impossibility of being able to hold this. So if you go in, then you actually have to have support. To support these people, they need to have a place to sleep, they gotta eat, they gotta shower. And so now all of a sudden you need to be running supplies, ammo, all this kind of stuff back and forth to support a group of people that are within target range from Iran real easily.
And there's many other islands that are more strategic and will be a lot smarter places to go. We generally talk about how on D-Day, why they stormed the beaches of Normandy and ran straight into all the guns, and why didn't they just go 10 miles north or south of that spot and flank the enemy? These are more evidences that both Iran and United States and Israel are working together, right? This isn't really a them versus that, as well as we haven't brought in the whole Albert Pike, who predicted this world war, and then it would be, Jew versus Muslim and Christian versus Catholic and Shia versus this and that. And it's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah, so the first group of Marines was supposed to arrive today. And then we've been seeing the 8,000, but now the headlines today are saying Trump is weighing deploying up to 10,000 more. So that would go from 8,000 to 18,000.
Yeah.
Right. So doesn't sound like he's winding this down too much, right?
Well, so again, I'll bring up, he's talking about winding it down so that they can manipulate the markets, right? It's all calculated and planned. They're using this to strangle people with, finances as well as profit. And we also have many characters on the stage, like Professor Zhang, who's the Canadian Chinese man who's got all the scripts, all the predictive programming laid out perfectly, as well as many other people that have been on all the major podcasts. Tucker Carlson. We've been watching the repeated content where they're point for point explaining how the United States has already lost the war, and the reason that they've lost the war is because they want to make Pax Judaica become the new world power through AI, Palantir, drones, and less American power. They want to destroy the actual the West, right?
Absolutely. So here's one more article that's going into shooting gallery, how a U.S. invasion of Iran islands might unfold. So everybody's got the whole narrative of they come in by the Ospreys. You can't do the boats. That's too
slack line down from helicopters, right? They're gonna jump out of planes and parachute down.
Yeah, so calling it a shooting gallery, and then you've got, of course, all this oil around, gas, all these petroleum products, right?
Interesting. Flammable things, you say?
Yeah. They're talking about how invasion by air is more likely than sea. Likely use these Osprey tilt rotor aircraft. Talks about how the ships trying to get in through the Strait of Hormuz would be sitting ducks. And imagine if you had a boat of 2,500 guys and another boat of 2,500 guys, and they're just trying to sail, trying to drive themselves over to some island, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, they're just both gone, right?
Well, if you disguised yourself as some kind of Indian, Pakistani ship that was there to get oil, and inside the ship was a bunch of soldiers, that would be a much smarter Trojan horse style tactic, right?
And this whole time, everything's been extended, and the media is talking about all the things that are coming. Obviously, the enemy would be ready for something.
Yeah, and the first thing they're going to do once they're attacked is they're going to destroy and destabilize all of the region's power plants, water desalination, all the different like oil refineries and places all over the Middle East. They're all going to get destroyed instantly as soon as this takes place.
Yeah, so they're saying this would be harder than the 1982 Falklands invasion. And then they start making connections in this article here to movies that have actually covered these these topics already. A Bridge Too Far. So once U.S. troops establish a beachhead, they will need to be sustained with food, medical supplies, ammunition. They would also likely want to bring in rocket launchers, armored cars, and even air defense systems. Wounded soldiers would also need to be ferried back to ships or the Gulf for treatment. The issue of supporting personnel once they are there. They say the rough number used to calculate logistical support is 9 personnel for every 1 soldier in combat. Takes a big support network for these wars. Now, this article right here takes it to the place where I see it going. So I want to get to that point here. And it says, you would give the Iranian regime a difficult problem to solve. Do you launch a number of missile, drone, and artillery strikes against your crown jewel, referring to their oil depot where they're filling up all of these boats, knowing that you might kill some Marines or airborne soldiers, but you're going to cripple your economic lifeline? He said, noting its importance as an oil export hub. But Iran might do so willingly if it wanted to inflict more global economic pain, experts say. What do you think of that possibility, that they're willing to blow up their own oil port?
Of course you would. To save your country, to give up your oil. They literally want to cause the economic chaos. That's the goal, right? Because it's going to be blamed by the United States. They've got the lower moral standing.
Yeah, so apparently this movie that wasn't all that good, A Bridge Too Far from 1977, has got the plot already for this whole paratrooper invasion here, and being overextended and it turning into a horrendous ordeal. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, let's dive into this Kharg Island and take a look at this thing as far as what it would take for the military to overthrow it and hold it. And I want to show you all what's really there right now, and show you how this is probably just more theater. So we'll get into that as soon as we get back from this.
What is this about? You never really want to work it out. But now you call the lawyer. Don't tell me that you thought you'd always get far without my help. I'm sorry I can't fall off the rooftops of your heart anymore. You're making me start over like strangers in the dark. I'll keep myself composure. I'm falling on apart. I'm staring at the reaper while trying to save a face. Hysterical deceiver. Well, I've been second place. You're making me start all over again. Please don't make me start all over again. Hiding in the house. Peaceful paranoia. Hold me inside out. Dancing in the foyer. Don't tell me that you thought you'd always get far without my help. I'm sorry, can't fall off the rooftops of your heart anymore. You're making me start over like strangers in the dark. I'll keep myself composure. I'm falling all apart. I'm staring at the reaper while trying to save a face. Hysterical deceiver. Well, I've been second place. You're making me start all over again. Please don't make me start all over
We are back. We're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive on Kharg Island, and it's simple. You can do it yourself. But I didn't really look into it until today. Kharg Island has a population of 25,000 to 40,000 people on it. And the civilians, they say 20 to 30,000. The oil workforce, 5 to 10,000. And then military security undisclosed, what they say is significant. We're gonna really bring that into question tonight as we take a look at Kharg Island from what you can just see on Google Earth or Google Maps, right? And this right here, from top to bottom, this is just 5 miles, right? 5 miles. And then from the widest part across here, that's 2.5 miles. You're thinking to yourself, how do they fit 40,000 people on there?
Something's not mathing here.
Well, you're going to see that it's actually there, and there's really nothing hidden on this island. So we're actually going to be able to zoom in here, and now I've already researched. There are no bases.
Okay.
Right? There are no bases. ChatGPT's no bases, no hardened facilities. And this, what we're looking at right here, is they're building a new refinery. In fact, this is 2026 imagery Google Earth is saying here. So they're building a new refinery up here, and this is some resort like type stuff right here. This is the beautiful fountains and the patios, and this is like luxury type housing right here. And then there's nothing in this whole area. And you're starting to see it now. Laser tag. So a lot of these things are actually in English, and start checking it out. And
You got laser tag, huh? For the people that work at the refineries?
yeah, so 3 days ago, written in English, me and my family were here the other day and a laser guided munition destroyed my child. 3 stars for special effects, but not the full 5 due to my child being destroyed. Somebody else said it was too hot and smelled like oil there.
A week
A week ago,
ago.
right? So you got your laser tag, and as we zoom in, there's actually more and more businesses here that you got your mosque. This is, I think there's City Hall. Yeah, this is the city or town hall. But there's the restaurants showing up. A lot of these are in English, where you get English reviews, right? A week ago, some of it's in what did they speak?
Arabic?
Arabic. Yeah, so you got your auto repair shops. There's hotels. It's actually a tourist location.
Yeah. It's an island, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably does stink like oil, but so here's a section of town. It's got supermarkets, pizza restaurants, photography studio, post office.
I guess these are the people that work in the facilities. They live here, right?
Yeah, that
makes sense.
Now they have a whole infrastructure here. That's the part of the town that's on the north side of their airstrip. And then they've got their hospital. And one of the things I had noticed as I was scrolling around the island is they have tons of stadiums.
Yeah, they're football fanatics, right? Or soccer in America.
Yeah, I mean, let's count how many stadiums we see. There was one. Here's another. Right in this area here, there's one gas station on the whole island, and that's because that's all you need. It's only 5 miles long, 2.5 miles wide.
The gas lasts.
You don't even need a car. I mean, a bicycle would do here. And so there's been no military facilities, coffee shops, restaurants, whole bunch of stuff. There's a fishing pier down here. And then
nice color water.
Yeah. At the south end of this here, then we start getting into refinery stuff. This is where most of the refineries are. And there's these 2 piers that appear to do almost the majority of the filling of these ships. So if you zoom down in here, you can see they have these massive pipes coming out here to these docks where they have all their pipes, and then they pull their ships up alongside this. They hook up their hoses, and boom, this is how they fill their ships. So this is a major pier right here. They have another smaller one here. And it's the same thing. Their pipes come back to this stuff over here. But I want to point out something that I figured out as I was looking at this earlier. These buildings right here, you can clearly see the roof with no inset shadows. And that means they're full. So here's refinery where they have, the stuff with all the pipes. here's a refinery right here where they have all the pipes. But then if you look at all their big storage tanks right here, if you look at this is actually the roof. So on these big storage tanks, these style right here, the roof floats on top of the oil, and so when it's filled up, the roof is up at the top, and when it's empty, the roof is down at the ground, at the floor. And so here's an example of where you can see that the roof is very low on this, right? By this shadow, you can see that the same shadow that's being cast up here, this roof is very low to be able to cast a shadow inside this shell right here. So this is mostly an empty tank. This is mostly an empty tank. This is mostly an empty tank. And almost empty, almost empty. These are a different style. And now you'll start to see which ones have some and which ones don't. So this one's mostly full.
These aren't live. These are old pictures, right? They could be from 5 months ago. You're just, what's the point of pointing it out?
Well, it says 2026
sure.
on the imagery, and we're in March, so it can't be 5 months old. It would be 3 months old, and so these could actually all be totally empty by now.
I see. Your point is that they've already offloaded the oil from the island. Good point. Okay, touche.
Yeah, so
depends if you're going to have the island taken over by an enemy, you'd want to get all your oil out before then, right?
Absolutely. So it's nice with this satellite imagery. It's just aerial photography. You can actually see how full their storage tanks are, and yeah, more football pitches. More football pitches. We sort of jumped into that oil field there, but everybody's saying that the Marines, the paratroopers, they'll probably come in to the oil fields down here. We can probably expect them to want to land on this beach right here, and then they're going to run with their machine guns into the refinery area and then go stand next to the big storage tanks, because the Iranians would never shoot at those, right? They would damage their own equipment. That is the story that we are being sold.
Yeah.
And so there's no tanks here. There's no military trucks. There's none of that. Now, ChatGPT said that there's military here, but after scanning the whole island, these are not military. This is just yard construction stuff regarding building the pipelines. We're getting back around to the top here. Yeah, this is where we started, where looks like they're building a new refinery out there.
Yep.
They've got a landing strip here. They've got this is the main port where you'll see all your runabout boats that would go back and forth between the mainland and here. And right down here, you get, if the label will come up again, this was the police station, I believe.
Cop shop, huh?
There it is, civil police. So on an island that's 5 miles long, 2.5 miles wide, what would you really need to keep civil order on an island like this? You'd probably need at least 3 policemen, right? Each could do an 8-hour shift.
Sure. You probably wouldn't need much at night.
Yeah, so everybody that comes to the island, they're coming in by boat. If you're some rich executive, you might fly in by a jet or a helicopter or something like that. But they know exactly who comes to the island, who leaves the island, how many people are on the island at every single given moment. I mean, there's no question about it. So then what would you do with military? What would you do with soldiers carrying M16s on an island like this, where the only people on and off the island are documented. They don't get on the boat to come across unless if they're allowed to. They don't unload unless if they're allowed to. And this is just a quaint little island community that has some tourists that come over and check out. You know, they got some caves, they got their shrines, they got this kind of stuff. Surprisingly enough, you can actually get some drop-ins on Google Earth here and see what it's like on the island. So there's, you know, one of their parks, mosque type stuff. Where's another image? I've seen some where, I mean, so much of what you see on the signage and everything where you drop in, it's all in English. Right? You barely see the Arabic. The reviews on all these places written in English from people. There was one of the reviews down here, somebody just like a day ago. Let me see if I can find this quick. Yeah, there's a English boat. There was somebody that was just there talking about, where's the comments? We have to do it like this. Here. John, one day ago, this beach will be better with the U.S. flag planted on it.
It's crazy.
One day ago, John was over there hanging out at the beach saying this is going to be better with a U.S. flag planted on it. I mean,
We'll see.
Yeah, what are we supposed to expect other than a whole bunch of theater out of this? And so people have been saying, oh, Kharg Island's not the only strategic island out there. They've got all these islands. Well, this one's got a lot of population on it, actually. And so then you have to overcome all that population on that island. And taking any one of these islands here to protect the boats coming through the strait right here, the whole threat is from these mountains back here.
Do not stop at anything. It's ridiculous.
And you just be sitting there in their crosshairs.
Yes.
You're a sitting duck. So any assault here by ground is just absolutely, completely absurd.
And supposedly they're waiting. They're ready for this. This is what they've been planning. This is exactly what they plan to do. And it's crazy because you'll get the Trump administration. They'll say, all we knew is that they had nukes, which don't exist. And we had to stop them from making nukes because they were going to, J.D. Vance said they were going to take out, tens of thousands of people, when this objective and this war might kill millions for all we know.
Yeah, well, let's take it into the biblical aspect now. And you gave me this clip here.
The lead up to this is just basically what you have is Goliath quoting biblical scripture now, usurping Davidical prayers. This is where we are in 2026. Instead of Goliath mocking YaHaWaShaI, you've got him out here, praising him through David. I just find it just absolutely absurd.
Put yourself in the place of one of those couple hundred Americans about to undertake this audacious raid on the Iwo Jima, looking at a lot of uncertainty in front of you. And this was the passage, and this was the pre-mission reading and the prayer that was read with them.
So they got this prayer. This prayer is so sacrilegious. Check it out.
First, a reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 18, verses 37 to 42. King David writes,
so now he's actually going to quote real scripture.
I pursued my enemies and overtook them, and did not turn back till they were consumed. I thrust them through so that they were not able to rise. They fell under my feet. For you equipped me with strength for the battle. You made those who rise against me sink under me. You made my enemies turn their backs to me, and those who hated me I destroyed. They cried for help, but there was none to save. They cried to the Lord, but he did not answer them. I beat them fine as dust before the wind. I cast them out like the mire of the streets.
You want to put that into context for everybody, what the Bible's talking about here?
It's what yeah. You go ahead.
Just destruction of YaHaWaShai's enemies, right? That's what it's talking about. So group of people that YaHaWaShai, there was nobody to save, and it just turned them to dust. It ground them to nothing. And so these types of world leaders here is the enemy. These are the people that those scriptures have prophetic warning for, that they're going to be ground to dust in the same way. And here you have the guy quoting really their destruction, and then he takes it into a super sacrilegious prayer coming up here.
And then he prayed this prayer, the chaplain. And we pray it with him this morning.
He makes sure to say we're going to pray too.
Almighty God, who trains our hands for war and our fingers for battle.
Almighty God, who trains our hands for war. No. The fighting between nation and nation, that was done away with. All of Christ's followers are to be peaceful, gentle, non-violent. Yes.
Battle. You who stirred the nations from the north against Babylon of old, making her land a desolate.
And the Bible says that those who kill with the sword are going to be die with the sword. Being a murderer, regardless if you got paid to do it by your government or not, it's the same judgment.
Desolation where none dwell. Behold now the wicked who rise against your justice and the peace of the righteous. Snap the rod of the oppressor, frustrate the wicked plans, and break the teeth of the ungodly. By the blast of your anger, let the evil perish. Let their bulls go down to slaughter, for their day has come, the time of their punishment. Pour out your wrath upon those who plot vain things and blow them away like chaff before the wind. Grant this task force clear and righteous targets for violence. Surround them as a shield. Protect the innocent and blameless in their midst. Make their arrows like those of a skilled warrior who returned not empty-handed. Let every round find its mark against the enemies of righteousness and our great nation.
It's just crazy.
Give them wisdom in every decision.
I don't know how long I could listen to that. The fact that he's out here quoting this, acting like he's in the Old Testament time periods, and that the United States of American army and Israeli army are out there defeating some evil, wicked people. These Iranian people they're just Iranian people. They're like me and you and everybody else on the other side of the screen. They're not, they didn't start the war. They were just doing their thing, living their lives. Everything that we've been told is completely flipped upside down and backwards here.
Absolutely. There might be a Pete in the chat that has himself hidden from me. I don't see his comments.
No, there's nobody here by that name.
Okay. All right. So we don't have to listen. Here? Yeah. Okay, I get it now. So this is a religious war, right? We have the Iranians putting out their AI propaganda to this effect.
We sacrificed 168 beautiful, innocent school kids, the best kids. Tremendous sacrifice. Nobody does sacrifice like we do. We did it for you, sir. Believe me, Val, it's huge.
More. I want
Supposedly the Iranians are making this content, and there's many of these videos, right?
Yeah, so the way everything has been set up is you get released that the leaders of the United States, Trump and all of his cronies, are part of a cult of really bad people doing really bad things to kids and maybe even eating them, all this kind of stuff. And so in the eyes of the whole world, because this is what's being published, America, the United States, is the great Satan. It is Baal. And so Iran and their cohorts are taking the position that they're the good guys trying to kill the Satan beast.
Will defend themselves from them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
crazy.
All biblical. This thing's got the Star of David on it. It all ties together, and but it's all absolutely crazy. I can't believe that I have to wake up and read these headlines, and that this is the narrative that's taking place in the world.
It absolutely is. So let's finish this out. Let's talk a little bit about, when the pandemic took place, everybody that we knew that was following along here had toilet paper and wet wipes. They had it stocked up. So let's talk about this. We don't want people to be afraid. We don't want people to worry. But what we do want is people to be as informed as you possibly can. And there's a few things that you can do. You can get cheap, non-perishable canned foods like beans, anything, soups. So let's say you had 200 cans of some kind of cheap $2 or $1 a meal thing that costs you $200, and every other day you had a can of food, you would survive. Right? You would survive. Or a garden. We can talk about a garden we've built, and we're actually working on gardens this year. Are you bringing it up? You want to bring it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have more tabs?
No, that was it. Perfect transition to practical, what you can do type stuff, because shit's probably about to hit the fan.
The prices are getting high, right? And we hear them talking about fuel and rationing and things like that. So if you have a balcony, if you have a kitchen where you have a window, you can get small containers. So if you just hit play and keep it muted, well, you can see the garden we've got going here. I'll have you pause it. We had leftover materials that we welded up. We created a gate. So these are bags. These are 15-gallon bags. You can get them anywhere in the world on Amazon, right? These ones are great. They're fabric. If you pause it, so they're 15-gallon grow bags. We got 12 there. They're not expensive. They allow the air and the water to drain. So it's actually a really good way to garden instead of having to pay for these big clunky. And if you're using a pot, make sure you drill holes in the bottom of it. That's something that a lot of people don't do, and then root rot happens and your plants die. So if you just hit play, so we've got these bags. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got every kind of tomato you can imagine we've planted just for extra ones. These ones are black ones. I think they're going to be crazy looking. Then we've got peppers, yellow sweet. That's a corn patch that you're looking at right here. And then what we did this year is, those are all corn patches. And then to keep the tomatoes aerated and off the ground, I created a trellis that we're actually going to grow like tomato vines with. So make sure you're tuned in. These are strawberries. You can plant any of these things in your backyard, on your front porch. If you live on a building, you can have these on your balcony. A lot of these types of plants. Chickens. In there, you can see there's white baby chickens, kind of hard to see there. Here we got a bunch of squashes that we're growing because they're really hardy and they produce. And then the trellises that you see that are created there with the 16-foot cattle panel. There's some sheep, everybody. Check that out, huh?
Neighbors sheep.
I'd like to have sheep, but that's even more. There's complications here. We would have to take care of a few things. Maybe in the future, we'll see. But the 16-foot cattle panel, we're going to grow spaghetti squash and cucumber, and we've got hot peppers there, serrano and habanero and some mint. And then, most abundantly, what we did is we planted a lot. These are all potatoes. So on Amazon, we ordered some potatoes. They come in a box with some dirt, and you cut them up and you let them dry and you plant them. And we had a freeze here too, and they're so hardy that they even survived the freeze. They all came back. You can see bunch of basils, bunch of lettuces. That's a arugula right there. That's asparagus. That's a big asparagus patch. As you can see, there's a little piece there. I gave it to the birds to eat. So you can have chickens. You can have a small chicken coop. They're really easy to take care of and feed. Here's more potatoes. We try to grow as many potatoes as we can because they're filling. And we're just being prepared. There's a bunch of more peppers there. You can be prepared for what's coming up too. You don't have to have the property or the size to do this. You can do this, like I said, you can get these grow bags and put them on your balcony.
Balcony, front porch.
My favorite, spaghetti squash.
Just if you're in a house, set them around in the backyard someplace. You don't have to.
Watermelon. And so the other thing that's good about growing your own foods is that there's no pesticides. There's no glyphosate or whatever. There's no chemicals. You grow it. You can add 10-10-10, or that's a pumpkin. We're going to grow pumpkins there. 2 different kinds of pumpkins. You can have non-GMO, perfectly healthy stuff if you just do it yourself. And if you have any questions or if you want any tips, we're always open to help. We've got a reality check and a reality check chat on Telegram. You can interact with us there publicly, and we're hoping to help people out. We want to inspire people. I've got these old tomato cages that I've used, so they're not all going to be trellis. Like I said, the black tomato there, I just put at the front. Then there's a black pepper. I didn't show everything, but make sure you stay tuned because this is going to be all lush and green soon. And we're preparing, and I just want people to understand that it's not that hard to do. It just takes a little bit of effort. You water it in the morning. And then you don't water that much at night because you want the roots to actually dig down and go down deeper into the soil. The strawberries, just a couple of strawberry patch here, and that's another pumpkin plant right there. 2 different kinds of pumpkins because they can also be fed to the chickens, which is a very important part of our plan here, is that we still even have the protein source through the eggs. And I know it might not be easy for certain people to do, but we're willing to help out and give advice and show people really cheap, really easy ways to do all this type of stuff.
All right. So this is the positive, get activated, do something to help make your life a little bit better in the upcoming months, because food shortages is something the Bible predicts. So there's no getting away out of that whole mess, because we know that the first 4 seals, you got the white horse rider, you've got the red horse rider, which is when peace is taken from the world, and that's going to be happening. And then you've got famine and rapid inflation. And so we're all going to probably suffer to some extent. Well, it's called the Great Tribulation for a reason. And so the next thing to really prepare yourself, beyond maybe having some food, a little bit of extra gasoline, some fresh water, water filters, that kind of stuff, is to prepare yourself mentally and know and understand that you're an eternal spirit in a mortal body right now, and that the decisions that you make in the Great Tribulation affect your eternal life. So to do things that the Bible says not to do, to try and save and protect your life, is really the worst decision that you could possibly make. That's the trap that you could fall into if you're not mentally prepared. So the conviction, the knowing that whatever takes place, you're not going to take the mark of the beast. You might go hungry for a while. There's a chance that you might be killed. You might die of starvation. These things are real possibilities. We know that the scriptures say that there is a certain amount of faithful followers that are going to be dying, and then it's really just a small group of people that make it through the Great Tribulation unscathed, where they don't ever die. There is that group as well. Now that's all going to be sorted based on really how good you are and whether or not you're a righteous person. So if you're a good, righteous person, you do have the opportunity to make it through the Great Tribulation without dying. And but the best thing to be prepared for is the possibility that you do, because if you die faithful, then the scriptures say that you actually get a crown.
Yeah, there's no fear. So, there's a lot of people that have their eschatology and biblical doctrines completely backwards. They have no clue what they're talking about. It's the blind leading the blind. You can be protected. You can be taken care of. Through the smallest of the mustard seed, the largest plant that shelters the bird grows. So if you follow the truth, if you follow YaHaWaShaI and you're listening and you use your spirit and you act, you can be protected and saved, and you will be brought through the Great Tribulation, right? And many will lose their lives righteously, and they will be given crowns for that as well. So there are multiple scenarios that people aren't getting right. It's the wicked. It's the wicked-hearted. It's those who are corrupt and evil and scheming and plotting and stealing and taking. These are the ones that are going to have the more and more difficult times. It's the righteous-hearted and the ones who are kind and loving. They will be prepared. They will be taken care of, and they will be brought through. This is what the scriptures say, right? It's just a small group of people, though.
It's an Exodus 2.0, where those people are gathered to the promised land and start coming into their inheritances. Well, it doesn't end. They don't get it right away, because we're talking about the first half of the Great Tribulation. Then there's the second half of the Great Tribulation. And then there's Christ's millennial reign. So the goal, the target is make it to Christ's millennial reign, even if this body has to die before you get there. Yeah. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Love your neighbor. Be kind to yourself. Listen to the scriptures. Read. Plant a plant. You can grow basil in your kitchen. You can grow rosemary, and there's so many different things that you can do right in your kitchen, beside a window, right, in a small pot. And I just want to try to hope that people will grow their own food. I know we've got Bronick did an amazing job. I love watching his videos. He's growing and doing all kinds of stuff. He's even got water collection, which is huge. We only have one container where we collect water. That's something that we need to ramp up as well. We need to try to collect some water. We live in a very dry area in Texas, as you can see here. It was very cloudy. There was not much sunlight here. You'd see a little bit more green. But be lifted up. Don't be fearful. Know that these things are coming upon the earth, because we're heading into a new reality. This is one where we're not going to have pain. There won't be any more suffering. So that if you're on the other side of the screen, know now that if you're suffering, you're gaining your gifts. You're going through the tests and trials and tribulations that were allotted to us through this time period, and they actually become rewards. So keep the faith, keep your head up, be informed, be happy, and just get through your day. Try to inform people and do the best that you can at what you're given, and that's all we're really commanded to do.
Absolutely. So just one last quick look at the calendar. 29th, we have the moon occulting Regulus on what the world is calling Palm Sunday. It's not really. The calendar is a month off. But this is the Triumphal Entry Day. So a day that the Antichrist might want to mimic. Then we have the wrong Passover, April Fool's Day. Then Easter. So there was that one video, somebody made a prediction 12 years ago for Easter of 2026. I'm saying watch out for the Triumphal Entry Day as well, the week earlier. And we should be in a hot zone, in my opinion, where after this by the 6th, after this another 10-day extension from Trump, we should see some real evidence that 2026 is the year that the Great Tribulation is beginning, in my opinion. But just wanted to get everybody ready for that possibility. Is there anything else you want to cover, brother?
No, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciated it. And prayers for YD. Shout out to the Goldsmith and everybody on the team that's helping us in any way. Everybody worldwide. Don't be sad. Be full of joy and gratefulness that we're actually approaching the great millennial reign. This is going to be something very, very exciting.
Where's the only place people are going to get this content, brother?
Only on the YaHaWaShaI News Networks.